Hi everyone. I was looking for a revision video and realized I had not made one. Very late on a Sunday night, I am making this new video and wasn't quite expecting to. So I apologize for not showing my face, but I wasn't quite ready to do that this late in the weekend. I want to go over some revision ideas so the next best thing to seeing my beautiful face is to show you some interesting pictures that might help you to remember these concepts. So, revision is something, we've talked about it with the writing process, and it is definitely part of what we do, and it can be an ongoing thing. It doesn't have to be a one and done thing. And it incorporates rewriting, editing, proofreading, and reorganizing those kinds of things. And so I'm pretty confident that you are aware that you need to proofread your material, and as you build on your skills you'll get better and better at that over time. You might even think about editing for word choice, or maybe you are rewriting something, maybe for a different audience. You might even get into the point of reorganizing things. In other words, if you think about your ideas and how you are presenting them, you may decide that your strongest point is in the middle, and it's probably not where we want our strongest point to be. So, reorganizing might be part of how you revise your papers. So, I'm pretty confident, like I said, that you are familiar enough with those ideas and you are continuing to learn how to do that as you write. At the college level. But I also want to go over some tips on how best to revise. One of the things that you can do is to read your work out loud. And this seems pretty simplistic, and it might not be something that you would expect, but this actually will trick your brain, and I will explain that in just a minute. What you see in this left hand picture is from the show Home Improvement. And it was a show that ran back in the 80s and 90s for probably a total of about 8 or 9 years. And what you see is Tim Allen talking to his next door neighbor. And the thing about this character, Wilson is his name. The thing about Wilson is we never, ever saw his full face. And this was in the time before the internet. So we couldn't just look up his picture. And once he took on this role, he didn't give, to my knowledge, he did not give any interviews or do any public appearances where he could be seen, because his whole character was based on the fact that we never saw anything but his eyes, maybe a little bit of his nose. And the reason that this bothers us, if you were to have watched the show over time, there's something within us. We are wired to want to see the big picture. And so our brains work overtime in seeing the big picture, even if it's not there. Think about if you've ever put together a puzzle. If you are missing pieces, your brain will fill in so that you see the big picture, right? Well, in this case, we are wired even from birth to want to see the full outline of a face. We know that when a child is born, for about the first 4 weeks or so, the baby can see the outline of the face. Can't really focus on the eyes and nose until about a week, or I'm sorry, until about a month or 6 weeks into life. So we are hardwired to want to see the total picture. And so what happens when we don't see the total picture, if we are completely engrossed in what we're doing or in expectations of what we see, we will kind of manufacture those details. And this can make it hard for us when we revise because we cannot quite catch all of our mistakes. So, one of the ways that you can catch your mistakes is to read your work out loud. When you do this, your brain has to process the information a little differently. If you are writing something that you have been working on for weeks and maybe a month or 2 months, you know that information so well that your brain fills in the missing pieces so that it just speeds through. You already know what you want to say, so your brain is filling in the missing pieces. So, in order to trick our brain to not fill in those missing pieces, we give it a different way of processing information, which is why reading out loud, reading our essays or our work out loud can be so powerful. So, this is one of the ways that we can trick our brain is to read our work out loud. Now, once you do that for a while, you also have to work out of that. Your brain is constantly adjusting to whatever it is that you're working in. And so, another way to trick your brain once it gets used to this kind of thing is to read your work from the bottom up. So, go down to the bottom of your paper and start reading backwards, sentence by sentence. Start reading it backwards. Um, when I changed the slide and you saw this, you probably took a double take because, or you kind of, it kind of woke you up maybe because it was something that you were not expecting and you had to pay attention to what exactly is going on. Well, this house was built upside down. And so it makes us work a little bit harder to process the information. This is what happens when we start reading from the bottom of our papers and move up. It helps us catch when we're missing a word, when we might have subject verb agreement that's not quite right, if our phrases or parts of our sentences don't make sense. We will catch things much faster. And if you combine reading from the bottom up with reading out loud, it is a very powerful strategy. So make sure that you are, if you've read it out loud a couple of times, then move into reading it from the bottom up if you're looking for those small details that, the grammar, the punctuation, those kinds of things. And then lastly, I want you to give yourself some extra time. As you can see, we have, and we know there are cars now that can be self driving, right? And we actually have seen, and they may be publicity events just to kind of get the word out. But there have been actually YouTube videos of people that have videotaped sleeping drivers as their car is engaged in autopilot. And we certainly know that pilots have autopilot, and we certainly don't want them to completely disengage from flying that airplane in case some emergency happens. But if you will give yourself some extra time, you will get your brain out of autopilot. And what I mean by this is if your paper is due on a Thursday, then finish it, set your deadline, set your own personal deadline to have it done by Monday. And then Tuesday, don't think about it, don't look at it, just do something else with your time. Do something else with your brain because your brain has probably gone into autopilot as far as that piece of writing is concerned. So get yourself out of autopilot, give yourself a break, go do something, sit down and watch a movie, work on another assignment or another piece of writing, but just stop focusing on that piece of writing. And if you can give yourself a day or two, that is optimum, depending on how long the item is. If you've been working on something for months and it's 20 or 30 pages, you might want to give yourself a week. So if it's just a paragraph or two, a couple of hours or a day or two is going to be fine. So if your paper is due on a Thursday, finish it on Monday. Don't think about it the rest of Monday. Don't think about it Tuesday. Give yourself some time off Wednesday morning, maybe Wednesday afternoon, the day before it's due. Go back and take a look at it. Read it out loud. And if there are still errors, you may find that it is very easy to find those errors. And it's going to it might throw you off a little bit because you are expecting that you would have caught everything by this point, especially if you've been working on this for a while. But there will probably always be something that you want to restate or change about your paper, or even maybe a problem or a misspelling or something. You will catch these items if you will give yourself some time along with reading your work out loud. So those are the three major ideas for revision. And again, just like writing, this is a skill that you will continue to hone and continue to get better and better at as you go. So don't expect perfection at the moment. Just know that you're going to get better and better over time. Thanks. Bye.